Right, hopefully you can see what I'm going to do. We're going to strip this S200. This is the target version with the adjustable cheek piece. You're going to need the S200 tool that normally comes with a new rifle. If not, you can buy them from gun shops or Julian at Arms Spares, eBay, wherever else. Undo that. Nut, and there's also a washer in there often. Then you need a flat screwdriver to undo this. There's a washer in there as well. Should be. There you go. That should slide off. You kind of pull it backwards and down at the same time, giving it a bit of a jiggle. There we go. You see there's a long rod which is going through the stock. Let me get that out of the way. Right, now the forestock. There's two little bolts in there. Not sure exactly what size they are. It's a 2.5mm. Yep, looks like it. There we go. This one holds the barrel band in, the front one. Right. Now, sometimes, well, depending on what you've got on this, they do sometimes come with a little plastic thing on to tie up the end of the barrel. Sometimes you've got slip-on silencers, sometimes the barrels have been threaded. Whatever the case is, you'll normally need to get the silencer out the way before you can take the air cylinder off. So, do that. Okay. Right, the air cylinder should just unscrew. These are pretty much a self-contained unit. They have this bit that screws into the action actually has a firing valve built into it. The hammer hits that, releases some air, and then that's how the pellet gets pushed down the barrel. This is an aftermarket cap and conversion by the looks of things. That's an old T-bar style quick fill. So there we go, and this should slide off, if I'm not mistaken. But it's not. I think it's just because it's a bit of old dirt and grime holding it on. Yep. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that just slides on. Right, there we have the action. Right, when you're fitting regulators to these, I always recommend that you open up the Venturi screw. Now this is a Mark, I'm not exactly sure, Mark 1 or Mark 2, but it's got the Venturi with a little lock nut on it. One way of checking that your Venturi is fully open is to actually remove the barrel, which is just these two grub screws, 2.5mm again. Yeah, that one's tight. Yeah, that one was tightened by King Kong. Right, barrel out. Now, if you remove this back grub screw completely, okay, you will, it'll probably be very difficult to see, but there's a hole down there, and if you get the probe out the way and shine a torch in, again, sorry if you can't see this on the camera, you'll see what I mean when you look. You should be able to see some light through there. And if you want to make sure that the Venturi is fully open, which is what you want to do if you've got a regulator fitted to one of these, you can put a 3mm drill bit, blunt end, this is obviously an Allen key, I don't have a drill bit handy, down inside this hole, and it should drop in all the way, quite a long way basically, so past the barrel, into the port, and then if this venturi isn't fully open, it'll stop on the venturi. So what you want to do is loosen off the lock nut, okay, and then open up the venturi, until the 3mm drill bit passes that. Then you know that it's fully open. Or you could just do it by eye, just looking down the hole while shining a torch in there, just to make sure that it's fully open. I'll obviously double check this one with the drill bit when I get a minute. Right, so that's that. The venturi would be fully open. Then you can obviously put the barrel in and set it back up. On these older models, they had a slot in the back which allowed you to use a screwdriver to adjust them. Very handy, because you just get a big flat bladed screwdriver and you tighten it to turn the power up, you loosen it to turn the power down. Very simple. You know, obviously if you're making adjustments, crown your rifle, make sure it's legal. Keep it under the legal limit. There's no point having your gun set at 11.99 foot-pounds. It serves you no purpose, and all it does is give you the risk of it going over and you're going to jail and losing your rifle. So set it at a reasonable power. That'll obviously increase your shot count if you turn the power down, and probably keep you out of trouble. Right, on the newer rifles, the Mark IIIs, this has a blanking, like a little shear bolt in it, and to get to the adjuster inside, because there'll be a short grub screw on the inside, there is this little shear, it's a bolt with a shear head on it. You have to get that out to be able to adjust the screw on the inside. To do that, you'd need to either slot the head of that bolt, which will then let you put a little screwdriver in and wind it out, or you can drill it and then tap a Torx bit into it to then let you unscrew it, or you might be able to grab it with something and undo it, but it is tapered, so that'll be tricky. You know, there's loads of ways of getting that out. Again, on the Mark IIIs, they have a shear head on this, so there isn't a slot, and there is a grub screw in a little threaded hole on this side. There's also a hole on this side on them, but there's not normally a grub screw in them, but just check just in case. So what you want to do is loosen that grub screw. Obviously there isn't one here, I'm just pretending. Loosen the grub screw, and then once the grub screw is loose, you will normally find that you can put your finger in and just push down and turn your finger to turn the actual adjuster. Sometimes there's a little pip on the end from the shear thing, from where the head's sheared off, and you can use a pair of pliers or something to grip that little tip and turn it. If not, you could always use a piece of something like rubber hose, like you'd find in cars, what have you. Short piece of that, that'll fit inside that hole. Obviously rubber is quite grippy, and that might let you undo it. Once you've undone it, I recommend cutting a slot in it like that, so that you can then adjust it in the future without having to go through all the drama. 99% of the time, when you fit a regulator to an S200 and you've opened up the venturi and the regulator set to the right pressure, you will need to turn the power down. It will go over the limit. So obviously adjusting this is key. I would say set the power using this adjuster, leave this adjuster alone. Once the venturi is fully open, lock it off, leave it alone. Don't touch it, don't play with it. Make all your power adjustments here. By adjusting the power on this end, you restrict the port. By restricting the port, you then reduce your air efficiency, and you won't get as many shots per full as you possibly could. So bear that in mind. What else can I tell you? Obviously make sure everything's clean and degreased, and there are some very handy guides on the internet that show you how to tune the triggers to make them better, because as standard they're pretty rubbish triggers, but they can actually be tuned to be half decent by following the guides. And what else can I tell you? Be careful of these. Sometimes they get burrs on them, and this arm can stick. If that sticks when the hammer shoots forward, like at the moment it's cocked, which means this thing's back, if this doesn't go all the way back, you know, if there's some grime in there, or it's not tightened into your stock properly, or you may have a custom stock and this is getting stuck sort of halfway, what happens is when you pull the trigger, the hammer shoots forward, hits the bar before hitting the firing valve, so that'll slow down the hammer and then give you a low power shot, or it may even not fire at all. You need to make sure that when you cock it, this goes back automatically. It goes back all the way, should be resting on there. You can normally see that sticking out the top of the stock. If it's not, you're going to have problems. It's not your regulator, it's nothing else. It's this little arm getting caught or stuck or maybe squashed. You know, if this is squashed in a stock, you see there, it's just a little plastic thing. So you know, it can cause problems if it's not properly fitted in the stock. What else can I tell you about these?